Undercover jet setter, healthcare.
All right, I am no longer just a TV host. I am a hot leg model. Well, not really, but my legs look and feel much better. You're going to meet the doctor in the Carolinas who took care of me. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Undercover Jet Setter. I'm John Daly. We're going to talk some medical and health stuff in the Carolina boom area, from south of Myrtle Beach all the way north of Wilmington, North Carolina. My guest is Dr. Michael Cahn. He is a surgery practicing in a lot of areas around here. Dr. Cahn, cheers. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you, John, for having me on your show.
All right, so it's great to have you here. By the way, I am drinking a clean vodka tonic. It's a Costco vodka, squeeze of lime and orange and diatonic, and you are sipping on?
I'm sipping on some special Woodford Reserve bourbon on a little bit of ice.
Nice. Have you always been a big bourbon fan?
You know, I used to be a big Scotch fan. I still am, but I've kind of ventured out into bourbon and rum and tequila, all sipping varieties. And, you know, usually when we go on vacation, we'll try to find new and exciting drinks or cocktails or wines or beers or whatever.
Oh, nice. So you got kind of that traveling palate. You're interested in a lot of different things.
Absolutely. We've been recently to New York, New Orleans, a couple other places, Charleston, and everywhere we go, we talk to the locals, find out what they like and what they drink, and certainly try it out. And, you know, if it's good, we bring it back to North Carolina with us.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. You need to try the distillery. It's a 1233 distillery that's in North Myrtle Beach now. It just opened up, and you sound like you would be perfect for it. So we've actually done and I'll get you the link too. We've actually done a piece on this new distillery that opened up. It's actually a family from California that came out here and started it, and it has all this prohibition kind of memorabilia in there. It's got a speakeasy, and then on top of it, they make local spirits. So they've got gin, they got vodka, they have a bourbon there, and it all has kind of a prohibition era local feel to it. So you'll get a kick out of that. You guys need to go down there and try it sometime.
No, that's pretty awesome, because when we were in Charleston last time, there's actually a bar called Prohibition, which
Yes.
is exactly like that, and that was really cool. And you know, if you go down to I think it's just south, the sweet tea vodka, one of the sweet tea vodka places actually has a distillery down there that we've been to, which was pretty neat.
Yeah, and Charleston does have a number of them. This is the first one in the Myrtle Beach area, so you need to give it a try. Actually, we should go do there ourselves. We should go and meet there and have a little bit more talking there.
No doubt.
Okay, that'd be good. We are talking to Dr. Michael Cahn. You can learn more about him and reach him at Vein Clinics of America and also Dosher Memorial Hospital in Southport, North Carolina. So I've taken a little bit away. The first question I wanted to ask you is, talk to folks, tell them about the areas of surgery you do and also the locations that I just mentioned that you're in.
Well, John, I came down to North Carolina a while back, and I live in a small town called Whiteville, which is about 45 minutes from or about an hour from Wilmington and an hour from Myrtle Beach. It's kind of a triangle. And I actually began practice as a general surgeon. I graduated from residency back in 2000 and moved down to North Carolina, joined an older surgeon, and then eventually, you know, when he retired, took over the practice. And over the last, you know, for 14 and a half years, worked in Whiteville. Then had an opportunity to learn how to do veins, so didn't want to give up general surgery, but wanted to do veins as well. So kind of had a come to Jesus moment and figured I'd try a little bit of different stuff. So currently I do varicose vein surgery 4 days a week and general surgery 1 day a week. And left Whiteville, the hospital had some disagreements with me, and so found a new place to work in Southport, which is a cute little beach town just south of Wilmington. And I do my general surgery out of Dosher Memorial Hospital there, cute little hospital. And so I do, you know, general surgery, anything from colonoscopies, endoscopies, gallbladder surgery, hernia surgery, breast surgery, colon surgery, you know, pretty much an amalgamation of just about everything I was trained to do. So, and then the varicose vein surgery is done in Charlotte. We have an office in Charlotte for Vein Clinics of America, and Cameron Godarzi is the one who brought me on board, taught me everything I know, and you know, that started about 6 years ago.
All right. Your taste buds for spirits is very similar to your surgery. You try a lot of different things.
Exactly. Being a general surgeon was, you know, an interesting residency, and I trained in a small community hospital that was very varied. We didn't have your ear, nose, and throat surgeons, your colorectal surgeons,
Uh-huh.
your urology surgeons. We had them, but we didn't have any residents. So the surgeons figured they needed to teach us because they needed help. So we got to learn many different disciplines that most general surgeons don't get to do because we were sought after. So when I came down to a small town to practice general surgery, I was, had to learn how to do endoscopies well. I had to learn how to do just about everything from trauma to, your basic circumcision. Because in a small town, that's really what you have. You have to learn how to do everything because you're going to see everything.
Wow. It's almost like going to war in some
Yeah,
respects.
kind of, sort of.
All right. So you performed two procedures on me, and I should tell people I'm healthy too, but still, these are the type of things that you run into. Now, the first, um, which I kind of joke led to my bathing suit model career now because of my hot new legs. It's embarrassing when I'm talking to women. I'm going like, honey, my eyes are up here. Stop looking at my legs. I'll give you Dr. Kahn's information and you can have pretty legs just like me. Now, you performed that vein procedure on my legs. Describe exactly what that was that you did to me.
Well, we did a combination of two separate procedures. We did what's called an ablation procedure. Basically, we destroy the inside lining of a long straight vein, and that's done with a laser fiber or a radio frequency device. And basically, once you destroy the inside of the vein and you add compression to it in the form of compression stockings, the vein seals, and then once the body recognizes that it's no longer functioning, it absorbs it. The second part of the procedure, or the second part of the, the process, is to destroy all the veins that feed into that vein, because if you don't, then you run the risk of that vein reopening, because the body doesn't like things that aren't functioning and tries its darndest to reopen that vein by pulling out the little blood clot and trying to reestablish the blood flow. But if you destroy all of the pathways to that vein, then the body has no choice but to absorb it.
Okay, and then the blood flow then goes to the bigger veins that you have deep inside your leg that work much better.
Correct. You have a superficial system, which is everything between the skin and the muscle, and then you have a deep system, which runs between the muscles. That's the main avenue for blood to return in everybody. But sometimes, the superficial system, the little valves that prevent backward flow, they eventually, in some people, get waylaid, either women during pregnancy, they have more blood than they normally do, and that causes the valves become leaky.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's hereditary, but eventually, a lot of people have the veins or the valves go leaky, and that leads to increased pressure, and then eventually that leads to those valves failing, and then blood flows in the wrong direction, and that causes increased pressure in those veins, and it causes them to dilate and get bigger. And the end result is big bulgy veins under your skin or little spider veins right on top of your skin. Those are the smallest, tiniest veins in your body, in your skin, that get so big that you can actually see them.
Well, and that's what was happening with me. I just happened to notice it. I had some discomfort. I had swelling in one leg. It was itchy. It looked awful, especially if I was doing anything on camera. But um, one of the things I got from you is I could have had problems down the road with that since I travel a lot. Explain how common that is.
Well, the actual disease process is very common. They say up to 65% of people have some form of venous insufficiency, which is what the whole disease is called. It can affect anyone from the age of like 14. The youngest person I've done procedures on was 15, all the way up into people's 90s. So it
Wow.
kind of cuts across all races, all socioeconomic, fields. There are certain people who are more prone. Those are people who are on their feet all the time, like nurses, teachers,
Mhm.
hairdressers, construction workers. Anybody who's on concrete floors for the majority of their day, we tend to see a few more of those than others. But it affects everyone from your health. I mean, I've done long distance runners, golf pros, to people who stay on the couch all day.
Now, is it dangerous if you don't get it taken care of?
Well, it's a progressive disease. It never goes away. And even if you treat it, you have other veins that can eventually go south.
Mhm.
And long term, it can cause enough inflammation to cause ulceration in your down by your ankles. It can cause a thickening of the skin that, I'm sure you've seen people who have like legs that look like they have tree trunks or wooden. That's
Yeah.
chronic inflammation that comes from venous disease. You can have, people who have venous insufficiency are at a higher risk for blood clots actually in their legs, believe it or not. It's not significant, but it is definitely increased. So, long term, we see a lot of people who come in with, some tiredness or heaviness in their legs. Maybe they don't even have any outward signs, no spider veins, no big bulges. But if we catch the disease early enough and treat it, then they don't run the risk of getting those things down the road. So, a lot of times if we catch it with some just symptoms, a little bit of swelling, a little bit of, itching, burning, restless leg syndrome,
Mhm.
neuropathy sometimes can be helped, night cramps. I mean, there are a lot of different symptoms that can be associated, not 100%. And there's a lot of different reasons you can get things like swelling or, neuropathy. But, we have found over the years that, a lot of people are helped that in areas they didn't even think they were going to be helped. So,
Interesting. And this, my healthcare, I have medical cost sharing. That actually took care of it. And usually most insurance takes care of this as well, correct?
as a matter of fact, the insurances are usually pretty good about it. If you can document that the disease is present with ultrasound, and most insurance companies, in order to prove that it's medically necessary instead of cosmetic, will make their customers wear compression stockings, which squeeze the bad veins down, pushing blood into the good veins, and usually reduce their symptoms. And that really tells us that the procedure is going to work well. The insurance companies are pretty good about it. Now, there are a couple who are a little bit more stingy, or Medicaid will not cover it as if that's their
Hmm.
primary insurance, but by and large, your commercial payers and your Medicare and your Medicare replacement plans all do pay for it as long as you have proper documentation and do all the right things to prove that the disease is there.
And I got to tell, I've had great results. I mean, my right leg actually looks normal. You did my left leg as well. That didn't look like it needed it, but at the same time too, it's a big difference when I look down, especially when I'm playing golf in shorts. So it's definitely improved. I still wear the compression socks when I travel, like when I'm on a plane or when I'm driving long distances. So, but I've noticed a big difference, and it's certainly been really helpful. So I'm very appreciative of that. Needless to say, we are talking to Dr. Michael Cahn. You can learn more about him and reach him at Vein Clinics of America and also at Dosher Memorial Hospital in Southport, North Carolina. Dosher is spelled Dosher. And if you haven't been to Southport, great little spot, as Doc was saying. You should go do that. One of the things we talk about a lot on Undercover Jet Setters, we do a lot on medical tourism, which is another reason I wanted to get you on here. We've done stuff in Cayman Islands, Penang, Malaysia, and I was thinking, since this is an area where people visit, there's a lot of snowbirds down here. Someone visiting the area, could they do this procedure? I was just thinking, you know, this could be a spot for medical tourism, and that could be a good procedure because you need about 6-7 weeks or so to go through that.
Yeah, I would say, for most people, again, it varies per person what veins are affected, but typically when we get someone in as a new patient, we say that it's usually 5 to 6 weeks of treatment if we're doing 2 treatments a week, depending again on how it is. And, certainly, anybody, the biggest issue would be the stocking requirements and having the ultrasound done and then trying to get people in. To be honest with you, right now, we are so packed that it's been good, but and it's also been bad because we're just seeing so many new patients. At the end of the day, though, it is about a 5 to 6 week process. Add in a couple weeks for the ultrasound. So, if someone came down, had the ultrasound, and had, got their stockings, and then came back for 6 to 7 weeks, absolutely. You rent a place locally in Southport, in Charlotte, in Ocean Isle, any of the little beach towns, and you can get your treatments done and go back wherever you are. Especially I know we get a lot of Canadians down in this
Hmm.
neck of the woods, especially during the winter. I don't know how their insurance, but if they're cash pay patients, certainly they could get it done in a relatively quick and easy fashion. Um, you know,
I would think winter would be a great time
exactly
to
it
do
is.
that. Yeah, that would be super. Okay, all right, cool. Um, I don't think the Canadians. I don't think the Canadians. I don't think their insurance would pay for it. I think they'd be cash pay. So I
I
think
think
you'd have
so
to get
too.
it that way. All right. So then I found out I needed a colonoscopy, and lo and behold, I found out you performed that at Dozier Hospital in Southport. Now, I would imagine you do a lot of those in this area, just because we have a large amount of retirees.
Oh, absolutely. Southport especially has a community called St. James, which is nicknamed St. Jersey because they get a lot of retirees from the New Jersey, New York, Connecticut area. We get a lot of people from, Michigan, Ohio that come down this way and they settle in this area. And, the thing is, once you hit 50, that's when your screening colonoscopies start, or at least they should. And it's good. If everything is normal, then it's once every 10 years. Now, if you have precancerous polyps or diverticulosis or other things, we may do it once every 5 years. If you've got a family history of colon cancer, maybe every 5 years instead of every 10. So, there are certain things that would make us do it more frequently, but by and large, you get all these people down here who, have been getting them regularly and they need an outlet to have them done. So, typically, like I said, I do this one day a week. So I'll be seeing 12 to 15 new patients on a Friday afternoon. And then in the morning, doing anywhere between 7 and 10 colonoscopies, some upper endoscopies, and some surgeries, some gallbladders, some hernias, you know, all that kind of stuff. So my Fridays have become my really busy day. I get to Southport at 7 in the morning. I have to leave my house in Whiteville at like 5:45, and I don't usually get home until about 7. So it's a long day.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure Saturdays are good sleeping days for you, although you have kids, so maybe that's not going to happen.
No.
Real quick, just talk about to me, because I'd been about 10 years since I had a colonoscopy. It's quite a bit different now. I mean, it's even though you don't like getting knocked out for that short period of time, it's really kind of quick and simple, and it's different from what it used to be over the last few years, right?
Well, what I noticed is that, and again, I started doing them in Whiteville in 2000. So I've been doing them for almost 20 years now. And what I've noticed is that, initially we did a whole big gallon jug of something to clean you out the day before. And about, about 10 to 12 years ago, I had so many patients that were so frustrated with that I kind of looked around and, talked to some other physicians and got some ideas and came up with a different kind of prep, which you experienced. Hopefully it wasn't too bad.
Hmm.
That's less liquid. It's a powder. It dissolves completely, and then a couple of laxative tablets before and after, and you're on clear liquid that whole day. And I'll tell you, 90% of my patients tell me it's simply so much better than before, that they're more willing to do their colonoscopy in 5, 10 years than they were coming into this one, because a lot of them come in for
Hmm.
their initial consultation and like, I don't know, the last one was such a, oh my God, I was cramping, I couldn't sleep, it was horrible. And I try to reassure them and say, listen, this will be better, okay? And when they come back for their follow up, I'm telling you, most are very pleased. And you know like I said, at that little hospital, they're really, our endoscopy team is very good, our surgery team is very good, and I've got nothing but compliments about my staff and the hospital staff since I've been going there for the last 5 years.
Well, I got to tell you, the hospital is great. Your staff is great. Your wife is your top assistant there. So everything you guys did that worked through me was really quick and easy. But I got to tell you, the only thing I'm really upset about was I thought that concoction that you made me drink was just specifically for me because you said I could actually have white wine with that.
Hey, listen, I'm not recommending people take alcohol with their prep, but I can't lie. I can't lie. I've had people come back and tell me, yeah, Dr. Cahn, you said half a gallon of something. I like beer. Was that okay? Hey, as long as you're cleaned out and you make it on time, I'm okay with it.
That's great, and primarily because it had to be like kind of a clear liquid, like beer and white wine would go good. Probably red wine wouldn't be the good thing to do with that, though.
No, as a matter of fact, clear liquids basically means no particles. So no milk, no, soup, anything with particles in it, like orange juice with particles, that's out. Anything that is clear and also, it can be, dark colored. It just can't have any particles.
Okay, and that's primarily so it doesn't show up on the picture.
Right, so you don't have a whole bunch of stuff sitting in the colon while we're trying to look.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. What's interesting? Are you finding a lot of people are staying in this area to get procedures? And again, I've been coming down here for 30 years. We've been living here for 7 years, and it used to be if you had something wrong with you or there's something kind of serious, you would travel up to Raleigh, Durham. Are you seeing more that people are coming down here and are finding more doctors like you? They're finding hospitals like Dosher that they want to go to. Are you seeing that more often?
Well, I think what I'm seeing is you do have a lot of, at least in Whiteville where I live, there were a lot of physicians that came from out of town, from New Jersey, from Pennsylvania, from Oregon, from, different areas. And I think as we've been down here, what I think is happening is that I've gained the trust of the people in the area who grew up here, who live here, because I've been here long enough and I understand them. But I also have that tie to the past where I grew up in New Jersey and went to school in Michigan and then went back to New Jersey. So I think the people who are coming down here tend to feel comforted that I'm from there. So it's been a very unique kind of, thing where, I've gained the trust of everybody in the area for different reasons, but because, it's just worked. I think some of the people from the north are a little leery of some of the doctors who, were trained or grew up down here for whatever reason. I don't know.
No,
but
I get that.
And some of the southern folks are a little leery of doctors from not around here. But, having lived around here long enough and having, tried to become part of the community, which I have. I mean, I've been in this small town for almost 20 years. I've given a lot in, time coaching youth sports and being on boards and being on, committees and clubs and all that kind of stuff. So, I've ingratiated myself into the area where I live, but haven't let go of the past. So I am able to connect with just about everybody.
And what happened, and I'm hearing that a lot, that a lot of people are saying when they're moving down here in this whole area that I think from, you can even go down to Charleston, but I'm saying, south of Myrtle Beach all the way up past Wilmington is really booming. It's a boom area as far as people moving in here. And it's not necessarily big business. It's people who are moving in with, like you, smaller practices, or it's people who have businesses that they can do at home where they can kind of office commute. And you're finding a lot of people like myself who are moving here because, I have parents that were here. And so you kind of move in to take care of them. But that's the interesting thing is that this place is, even though we are in the South, it's become very homogeneous. So you have a lot of people from the Midwest, you have the people from the Northeast, you have a lot of people from other parts of the country, even a little further west. So I think you're beginning to see kind of a homogeneous place that's also seems to be kind of a boom. Are you surprised at what you've seen over the last 4 or 5 years here of how things are really moving? And this is like, wow, this is actually a good place to stay and to be here for a long time.
Well, that was the one thing, you move to a small town like Whiteville, and it's not booming. It's very small. It's I think
further
the
inland.
population. It's 45 to an hour inland, so
Yeah.
you're not seeing those effects. But I will tell you that Brunswick County, I think, is the fastest growing county in North Carolina, and it's the combination.
One of the fastest in the country too.
Right, it's a combination of the beaches, the weather, and the proximity, I think, to at least some of the things you're used to. You're not, if you're from the Northeast, you're not going to find the Italian food you're used to, the bagels you're used to. But there are people who have moved down, bagel bakers from New Jersey that I've found. There are some Italians from New York who've opened little restaurants. So it's coming. It's getting there. It's not quite there yet. So Brunswick County, Wilmington is growing. And Leland is growing immensely. So those are areas. Myrtle Beach is that's a funny town. It's a very destination town for most people. It's a big spring break area, but there is a pretty healthy population there, and it seems to be increasing. They continue to build houses just about everywhere. 501 corridor, the 17 corridor, all the way down to Charleston. So,
yep. There's a lot of construction. There's a lot of road construction going on as they're widening the highways too. So we are beginning to see that. So, all right, well, great. Well, that's, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here is because I'm trying to tell people that people don't realize this is a boom area. So I want to talk to people like you who can definitely talk about it, because there's a lot of other businesses that are doing the same thing too. So let me just say thank you for the work you've done on me. It's been great, and I appreciate your business, and I would refer people to you anytime. And you've been great to work with, so I appreciate it.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, and all your help in promoting my business. And let's meet for a cocktail down at this Prohibition place.
We'll definitely go down. It's a 1233 distillery. That's in North Myrtle Beach, and we will definitely do that. We've been talking to Dr. Michael Cahn, who is a surgeon practicing out of North Carolina. You can, if you're anywhere from Southport to Charlotte or Whiteville, for more information on him, you can go to Vein Clinics of America, or you can go to Dosher Memorial Hospital in Southport, North Carolina. Dr. Michael Cahn, cheers. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers back, and appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. And we will have more on Undercover Jet Setter, exploring the boom in this part of the country. Keep swinging easy, folks.
For more on Undercover Jet Setter, go to undercoverjetsetter.com and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.